Welcome back to another episode. This is another After Hours episode. And this episode is brought to you by this very, very tasteful whiskey. Tennessee Whiskey by Jack Daniels. That's very good. Very, very smooth. And I know I'm going to mess this name up, but I have a Lagunitas IPA Indian Pale Ale. Refreshing. I have smooth and refreshing. Can't beat that. I usually go with Dogfish Head, but I've had this before, and let me tell you, if it's not right there with it, it's a little better. I wanted to do an episode on, excuse me, being an adult and being a child. Why did I come up with this idea? Because I heard something recently from a few people who sparked that idea. What does it mean to be a boy, or what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a girl, and what does it mean to be a woman? I think there are guidelines. You have different types of men, right? You have your manly men, blue-collar men, white-collar men, gentlemen. And then some men are effeminate, and some are very, very masculine, and some are in between. The same thing for women. You have women who are very dainty. Then you have women who are pretty aggressive. You have women that might be kind of boisterous. And then you have women who are just mild-mannered. They're still women, and they're still men. I think the foundation to being this is not what an African guy told me. African guy told me not too long ago. Actually, yeah, very long ago. What am I talking about? This was like in 2010. Very wise man, I must say. But I did not agree with this. He said, you're not an adult until you get married. You're still going to be a girl or a boy until you get married, which makes absolutely no sense. Why doesn't that make sense? Let me go into, and this isn't my opinion, this is factual. When you're a child, your mom has to do what? Your parents have to do what? They have to buy your clothes. They have to feed you. In most cases, they have to wake you up to get ready for school, make sure you're at the bus stop. They have to drive you to where you need to go, right? They have to do all these things for you. Wash your clothes. They do all of these things for you. They're paying the electric. They're paying the rent. They're paying the car notes. They're putting gas in the car. They're doing all these things, so you don't have any responsibilities. That's a child. You're being taken care of. Versus now you're in the adult role. You're the one who has to buy your own food, buy your own clothes, wash your own clothes, pay your own rent. Make sure you get up in time not to go to school. Well, yes, in some cases you still go to college, higher learning institutions, but in most cases, get ready for work. Make sure the rent is paid. Make sure there's gas in the car. Make sure the electric's on. This is what it means to be an adult. Why don't I agree with what he said, that you're not an adult until you get married? Because there are some people who are married where in a lot of cases the women are taking care of the men. I know a few off the top of my head right now. Either you're married or you're in a relationship where you should be married because you're living with this person. It's not like you have a place, she has a place, and then you guys hang together. No, you're living with her and she's still taking care of you. She's still washing your clothes. She's still paying most of the bills. She's the one cooking. Now, I don't want to put anybody on Front Street because some of these people, when they talk to me, and it's unprompted, I don't ask a lot of questions because I mind my own business. But sometimes when a person is just dealing with a lot, it just comes out in conversation. And I learned a long time ago, you never give people advice unless they ask you personally for it. So what I do, okay, we got a message here. Let's kill that. Hold on. First of all, since this is live, let's see who this is. This might be something that lends itself? No. Okay, but we're going to get to that. There's something I do want to talk about that here. Listen, I don't give people advice. I mind my business. And what I will do is I'll tell them how I handle the situation. And they can take it or leave it. They could say, you're full of shit, you don't know what you're talking about. Or they could, a lot of cases, people have ego. I understand that. People have ego, and they don't want sometimes to make you feel like you said something insightful. So I sat here and watched somebody. I said something one time that was insightful, and he just looked at me. I knew what was going on in his head, like, yeah, you said some real shit. But that's another story for another day. My point to saying all this is the person told me that the person that they're living with pretty much told them in some flaky manner that he'll never ask her to marry him. So my question is, then why are you still with him? That's what you want, right? You want to marry this person, or you want to be married, but you're with someone who pretty much told you they're not going to ask you to marry them for whatever dumbass reason they came up with. So a lot of the onus is on her, but most of the onus is on him, because he's supposed to be this man in the relationship. If you want these gender roles, the person will tell you that that's her job. She's the woman of the house. She's supposed to clean the clothes. She's supposed to cook. She's supposed to clean the house. She's supposed to do all these things. But you're not upholding your role, right? What are you supposed to do? You're the one who, if you're doing gender roles, you're supposed to be the breadwinner, right? You're the one who is supposed to be paying all the bills while she's home taking care of the home. So when you come home, you have home cooked meals, a warm plate, a clean bed to sleep in, a clean house to, kick your feet up in. But you're not doing that. You hear stories of, I had to stay up with the little one because he was out all night doing God knows what. So is this starting to make sense to anyone but myself? The African guy told me you're not an adult until you're in a relationship or more or less married. But there are a lot of accounts with guys who are in relationships and they act like children because the woman is taking care of them. And it could be vice versa. It's guys who go out and make money and the woman is still acting like an adolescent. She's still cutting up. She's still telling all your business. She's still wilding out. She's still entertaining other guys while you're out busting your ass. So that logic doesn't add up. What I think is, you're an adult when you take care of your shit. Whether you're single or you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship and you're taking care of your shit and the other person doesn't, you're the adult, the other person isn't. So ideally, when the woman is taking care of her shit and holding up her end of the marriage or relationship, and the guy is handling his shit, excuse my French, and he's taking care of his side of the relationship, that's why things work out. What is the divorce rate in America? We're live, so we're going to do this. We're not really live. This is going to be a recorded video, but why not ask it? What is the divorce rate in America? Okay.
According to Wikipedia, more recently, having spoken with academics and National Survey of Family Growth representatives, PolitiFact.com estimated in 2012 that the lifelong probability of a marriage ending in divorce is 40% to 50%.
40 to 50% of Americans get divorced. Why is that? Okay. I don't know if Google's going to have the answer to this, but I have the answer, but I want it to be very specific. Let's hit the button. What is the number one reason for divorce in America?
According to Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts. According to a recent survey of 191 CDFA professionals from across North America, the three leading causes of divorce are basic incompatibility, 43%, infidelity, 28%, and money issues, 22%.
Did you hear that? The number one cause for divorce in America is because they're incompatible. They don't belong with each other. They haven't taken that time. I thought it was money. I was going to be honest with you. I thought money, I've always thought it was, or heard that it was financial reasons, but that's 22%. Cheating on your mate is 28, but just not base. It says basic incompatibility. That's not the one for you, 43%. The adage from the Bible, the same Bible that this African man used to preach to me till he was blue in the face. The Bible says what? It is better to live in the corner of an attic by yourself than in a mansion with a quarrelsome mate. I have so many stories. I didn't live in a mansion, but I lived with a woman who, no matter what I did, it was always something. Everything. I live by myself now. I might be the happiest I've been in a long time. Now, I will say this. I've dated some women that made me very, very happy. I mean, we were great together. Whatever happened, happened. I really don't know. To this day, I'm still scratching my head like, why didn't this work out? Could have been me, could have been them. I don't know. But I will tell you this. From being in a relationship with someone who I knew it was wrong, to not having any girlfriends, not dating, just coming home and being relaxed in a peaceful environment, that shit is the tops. I love it. But Jim Carrey did say something. He said it is very hazardous to do. Well, he didn't say hazardous. He said something to the effect that it is addictive. It's very addictive to live in isolation because of the peace and the calm and the quietness. You can get addicted to that. And I think that's pretty much spot on. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of people who get into these weddings, these shotgun weddings. You got my daughter pregnant, so you're gonna marry her right now, or I'll shoot you right between your eyes. Or the woman gets pregnant. You better marry me or I'm gonna hit you up for child support. Whatever the case may be, you're not compatible with the person. It's other outside sources or happenings that put you in that position where you marry the woman. What do I know though? I've never been married, but I have been and lived in relationships for long periods of time. I understand that it is the give and take. I understand that you get on each other's nerves sometimes. I understand that you might not always like them, but you need to always love them. Sometimes you don't like them. Like, get out my face. What are you here for? But you still love them. I'm going to take another swig of this Tennessee whiskey because it's so small. This is great. It's got the right amount of kick. And we're going to follow it with this IPA, this Indian Pale Ale. Really good. I wanted to get to one more thing before I end this. These episodes will not be long. And something that I did want to do my research on that I didn't get to. And it is street smarts versus book smarts. I had someone, most of these come down to conversations I've had with people, and I just bring it to these recordings. What does it mean to be book smart, and what does it mean to be street smart? And then how do you use that in the world? And which one is more important? Book smart is what? Book smart is learning things from school, doing your own research, maybe watching documentaries and videos, sitting at the feet of people who are very knowledgeable. You soak all this stuff in, and you can retain it. And you use those tools. Street smarts is the same thing, but it's this guy's coming up the street and he's looking a little iffy. I know what to do in this situation. Or he's trying to hustle me. I can see through it. The way he's talking, the way he's moving. I can see through all that shit. Yeah, he's smiling, but I can see past that smile. That's street smart. So let's pull this up again, so you can hear it for yourself. I read this, but I forgot what it said. The definition of street smarts.
definition of street smart: the experience and knowledge necessary to deal with the potential difficulties or dangers of life in an urban environment.
Dealing with the difficulties and dangers of life in an urban environment. That's all I've ever lived in, was an urban environment. From the time I was born in Wilmington, Delaware, to when I went down to Felton. Actually, what was it, Milford first? Then we moved to Felton. Lived in a trailer park where it was all types of wild activity going on. Got older, lived in low-income housing, moved over to Maryland, D.C., low income, where pimps, prostitutes, and all them was out there. So I understand, yes, there's a difference between having the experience of drug dealing, gang banging, robbery, pimping. I don't know any of that stuff. I've never done any of those things. But I've been in situations where I know how certain people move. What's more beneficial though? The book smarts or the street smarts? Knowing how to keep books, being an accountant or a lawyer, that'll make you a lot of money, right? But knowing the street can make you a lot of money too, right or wrong. Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the correctional officer, made a lot of money in the street. He had the street smarts. Ultimately, it got him put away. But there are some people who have book smarts who got put away too. Which is better? Neither. Both of them together is better. It's better to have a little bit of book. Jeezy said that shit, didn't he? He said a little bit of book smarts, a whole lot of street smarts. I say a little bit of both will help you navigate in a lot of different situations. So if you're in the company of people who are highly educated, you can hold your own. And then if you're in the company of people who come from these urban areas, you can hold your own. You can see how they navigate. You might lose here and there. Everyone does. I've lost 2 debates in my whole life that I can remember. Both from that African guy I just talked about. I lost a few debates with him. He left me at one point where I've never had this ever happen to me again, where I had no response. Bravo to you, sir. You played that well. I've been in situations with urban people where I took some L's. Then I've been in situations where I came on top. Again, I'm no thug, no gangster, none of that. But I can see through it. I'm going to give you a perfect example. I remember when I was in Lanham, Maryland. There was a 7-Eleven across from the apartment complex I was staying at the time. I remember getting out of my car, and when I walked into the 7-Eleven, I heard this dude say, "Here's one right now." I picked up on it so quick. The average person probably, what is he talking about? No, I already knew what he was saying. He thought I was a sucker. There were kids outside. There were kids outside of the 7-Eleven, had this table set up, and they were selling detergent, socks, and something else. I forget what they were selling. But they had this little sign that they wrote that said they're doing a fundraiser for their football team. Which I knew that shit was bullshit. First of all, I knew it was bullshit because I know what type of games they play. I've been in that area long enough where I know they try to hustle people any other time. I had this situation where I was at the same 7-Eleven, that gas station, where someone had their car running and they were asking people for money so they can get gas for their car. Then why is your car running? You don't need gas for your car. I know what you want. You want to go right around the corner to that liquor store and buy a bottle. But with these kids, "Hey, sir, you want to buy this detergent for whatever they were charging? It'll go to our little..." "Nah, I'm good. I ain't got it." Am I being an asshole, or am I reading? Am I peeping game? I'm peeping game because I've seen this before. Across the street from the 7-Eleven, there's a Dollar General. What the kids would do is they would steal from the Dollar General, steal the detergent, steal those bag of socks and steal whatever else they had and go across the street and set that table up and try to sell it. That's peeping game. That's street smart. A normal person like, oh yeah, how much is it? I hope you guys win the game. No, I already know what you're doing. That's what I'm talking about. So having street smarts will get you out of trouble too. If someone is coming at you and bop, 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 you know how to play it. Book smarts might help you with that too, because book smarts can endow you with a lot of wisdom. I want to take one more swig because it's so good. This is great. I mean, I don't have a lot in the glass, but this type of stuff here, this whiskey, you could just sip on it. You don't have to gulp it down. No, you savor it. You just take sips. And another shot of this IPA. You got to try this out. And I'm going to use this as the screen for this podcast. This Indian Pale Ale. You got to try it. Before I go, and I don't like to bring up negative things, but I did want to say one more thing about this coronavirus. And I just talked to my stepdad about 30 minutes ago. The place that I work, come to find out, they had 10 cases of this coronavirus. They had 10 cases, and then the following, I don't know if it was day, but the follow-up video that we were shown says, oh, we had an outside company come in and spray down the warehouse. It stopped at 12 cases. Oh, but I thought you just said we had 10. So they tried to slide the extra 2 under there. These companies, all they care about is the bottom dollar. They don't care if people get sick. They don't care about shutting the building down to save anyone from contracting this virus. All they care about is the money. I remember the first video we were shown, they told us how much they were making in online sales. It's through the roof. So we need your ass to keep coming to work to make sure that number sustains itself. Fuck if you get sick or not. Put this mask on. But they didn't mandate a mask when the first few people got the virus. It had to take for people to start to speak out. Now you have to wear this mask or you can't come into the building. And you're not going to get paid. I'm hearing a lot of things about this coronavirus that I'm not on board with. But at the end of the day, I want people to just do your own research. I've said this in multiple podcasts that the news will lie to you. They will lie to you just to lull you to sleep. Just recently they came out with, now we talk about these red herrings. What is a red herring? Don't take it from me. Let's ask the all-knowing Google. All right, hold on. We're going to pull up definition of red herring.
Here's the definition of red herring. A dried smoked herring, which is turned red by the smoke.
Okay, that's the first definition, Google. What does the second one say? Something, especially a clue that is or is intended to be misleading or distracting. We've seen this throughout history. Misleading or distract you, right? How many people know that the government just put out evidence that there are UFOs? This coronavirus has everybody in so much of an uproar that the government can just slide that shit. I'm talking about smoke screens. The government can just slide that shit in there. because you're so focused on all this bullshit, excuse my French, that they can just slide in that UFOs have been accounted for. But we knew this already. But for them, the people who have these concealed documents, and now I'm hearing things about they're now letting out recordings. Like they have this whole library full of recordings that they're now letting out. But how many people know that? How many people have heard of this? Do you have to dig deep to find this out? They might show it for one day. I've seen the coronavirus on TV every single day since December, January, February, March, April. We're about to be in May. So at least 5 months of coronavirus every single day. They came out with these UFO videos for 1 to 2 days, and that's it. So if you don't catch it in those 1 to 2 days, the government can say, well, you put it out there, but you weren't paying attention. I'm not missing anything. I do my own research. I research multiple sites, and I take what CNBC, NBC. I will say this, NBC, the last thing I seen from NBC, they kind of kept it real. I'm going to say that. But Fox News, fuck that shit. I don't even listen to them. When I see Fox News, I just turn the channel. You know? But me personally, I do my own research. I'm about to head out. It's been great. This is another episode, After Hours. And until next time, peace.